It's a great pleasure to welcome Debra Sparrow to the stage. Debra was born on the Musqueam First Nation. She's self-taught in Salish design and jewelry making. You can see her work all over this province in museums and in institutions. There's a beautiful weaving right as you enter the CBC, the new building downtown. She designed the logo for the Canadian men's hockey team for the 2010 Olympics. She's working right now on a project at the Museum of Anthropology. You can see her there on Wednesdays and Fridays. I'm going to take my whole class next week so we can watch her at work as she weaves these beautiful stories in wool. And she is now here to welcome us formally to the evening. Please welcome Debra Sparrow.
You should give me a mic when I'm up in front of you all. I might start singing. I watched the launch last night. Wasn't it pretty good? Anybody else watch the launch? Oh, you better watch it. It's Canadian. And it's like The Voice. On behalf of my chief, Wayne Sparrow, my council members, my community, Musqueam, but mostly on behalf of my ancestors, I would like to welcome each and every one of you here to this beautiful land we call Musqueam. We are as old as time. We have been here for a millennium, as we have for 9 millenniums past. When asked of the First Nations people, who said this land belonged to you? I do not see it written anywhere. There's no sign on a mountaintop. Anybody know who said that? If you don't, I'll tell you. The current Prime Minister's father. And when he said that, I was really sad. Because I thought to myself, it isn't written on a mountaintop. It's written in the earth. Anywhere you open the earth, the evidence of who we are as people is there, and that's how we write. And they're not objects, they're our personal belongings. I don't know where it was written anywhere that archaeology, in that English name, defines our personal belongings as objects. And so we need to change that. And that's why I'm at the museum. I'm not just a weaver because I make beautiful things. I'm a weaver because I'm weaving back the history into our community of the values of who we are as First Nations people and women, and that we stand on those blankets that we weave, and that we comfort ourselves with them, and we use them in naming ceremonies, and we use them when our children are born and they get their first name. And when they leave this world, that blanket goes with them. The blankets are everything to us, as they are to every community. And so, it is the values of who we are that we are working on. And when we talk about reconciliation and what does that mean to us, how do we reconcile Canada? How do we do that? I don't believe that there's an answer right now today, but I believe that we will be working on it in every way that it matters to each and every community that my brother-in-law, Grand Chief Ed John, is here, and Melanie Mark, and all of us who have our communities throughout all of BC and Canada. That is part of our responsibility to think about those values that are important to us as First Nations, and then begin to reach out and look for the balance that we need in this changing world we live in, and look for those solutions. Look for ways that is not just one way. And that's what those blankets mean to me and to my family, to my community. That they're not just something beautiful to look at, but that they have a meaning to come to be into this world. And each and every one of us are blanket makers in some way, and the threads of who we are intertwined on the masterpiece. And we do it, and why do we do it? We do it for our children. We do it because we have to embrace what happened to our fathers and our grandfathers in residential school. And we have to change that. And a very wise man said, when we change the way we look at things, the things we look at change. And so to me, that's what's important, is that we're ongoing and changing, and we can't go back in time, and we can't live 200 years ago, but we can certainly bring the values of who we are forward. When my grandfather said to me before he died at 100, never forget who you are. And know who you are and know where you come from, because if you don't know that, then you're nothing, he said. And we don't want to feel like nothing anymore. We want to stand in who we are. As I leave you tonight, I want to read to you something very precious that I read in the 70s when I was only 5. And it really meant something to me, and I thought about all of you tonight, and I thought of all the wonderful work you're doing, and how maybe nobody pats you on the back, and I'd like to do that for you, from your ancestors, to know that you're here for a reason, that you come from a long history too, where mistakes have been made. But were they really mistakes? Was there a plan? And if there was one, let's change that today. And maybe after I read just a little bit of this to you, you can take it home and think about it, because maybe some of you have already read it. Your children are not your children. They are the sons and the daughters of life, longing for itself. They come through you, but not from you. And though they are with you, yet they belong not to you. You may give them your love, but not your thoughts, for they have their own thoughts. You may house their bodies, but not their souls, for their souls dwell in the house of tomorrow, which you cannot visit, not even in your dreams. You may strive to be like them, but seek not to make them like them. For life goes not backwards, nor tories with yesterday. You are the bows from which your children, as living arrows, are sent forth. The archer sees the mark upon the path of infinite, and he bends you with his might, that his arrow may go swift and far. Let your bending be in the archer's hand be for gladness. For even as he loves the arrow that flies, so he loves also the bow that is stable. And so that's for our children, that remind ourselves as we work with them and share with them and guide them, that we don't own them. We too were once those children. So again, I want to hold my hands up to each and every one of you and all the honorable guests that are here, and hope that you enjoy your evening and the wonderful words that are going to come to share with you on our traditional territories. And remember, as our guest said, when you hear unceded territory, what does that really mean? Or does it mean anything? Hajj Kasiyam, everyone. Enjoy your evening. Thank you.